Well, good afternoon, our fellow Rotarians. We're so excited to have you join us today. We've got an exceptional program. We're going to hear from David Lynx about the new Larson Gallery and learn more about the beautiful building that not only he is occupying in his space, but that our Rotary office is now occupying. So we're really looking forward to learning more about that today. But to get us started are our greeters, Quinn Dallin and Matt Crow.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for what I'm sure is going to be a very excellent program. Appreciate everybody coming in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rotary. Happy 2021. It's so nice to start the year off seeing all of your faces.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. We believe we've got some guests in the audience today. I know that Sue Rich is joining in and Susan Hahn may be here. So welcome to our guests today. Next, we've got our music with Rick Fairbrook. Rick.
I need to unmute myself. Okay, I am your Rotary music man for this week. And 7 days ago, I chose celebration as a musical theme. Though my mood is a bit more somber today after yesterday's events in DC, I still think it's important to celebrate the good things in life and in Rotary, which include, among others, the completion of the Martin Luther King Playground, academic and vocational scholarships, a successful Rotary Christmas bell ringing effort that raised $7,100. And we celebrate the end of the most challenging year, 2020. And we celebrate the hope for a better year, 2021. So let's also celebrate the completion of the YVC West Campus Complex and the new homes for Rotary, the Rotary office and the Larson Gallery. So I have a song to hopefully elevate your mood today and musically celebrate the good times and the good things that we enjoy today. So let's join Cool and the Gang performing Celebrate Good Times. Come on!
Wow, awesome choice. I don't know if any of you could not tap your toes during that. I did see Mike Johnson kind of rocking out, loved it, loved it. Those of you with your video off, I know you were dancing. You can just go ahead and admit it right now. How many weddings have you attended with that song? I mean, really. So thank you, Rick, for that wonderful celebration and congratulations on the Salvation Army efforts. I'm so pleased to hear what success we had with that. And thank you to all the volunteers that staffed that as well. And we also, not to forget, had a pretty exciting Christmas drive-through event. And I do want to thank the social committee led by Mary Beth Bradley, Gail Weaver, and thank you, David McKinney, for hosting that. That feels like a long time ago. It was all the way in last year, but thank you. So now let's move along and start off with our invocation with Sherry Bissell. Sherry.
Thanks, President Jennifer. So heavy side. Today, all I can think about with the global pandemic, of course, going on, and the activity at the Capitol yesterday is to share kindness, to share love, and to represent good. And once again, when I think about those things, I think about all of you. I think about Rotary International, and that's what Rotarians do. The other thing that I think about, I am a Christian, born and raised Lutheran, and for me, in times of trouble, in times of fear, in times of the unknown, even in times of happiness, and celebration, I turn to the Bible. For me, that's what works. That's what I'm going to do today for the invocation. I hope it works for all of you too. It's Psalm 46. And only if you so choose, please join me in prayer with Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city, it shall not be moved. God will help it when the morning dawns. The nations are in an uproar, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come behold the works of the Lord. See what desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations. I am exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen.
Thank you for those beautiful words, Sherry. Unfortunately, it's something that we need to remember, especially in these times, but also because I do have some sad news to share with you all. Past President Bill Wheeler has passed away on December 30th at the age of 36. There is a celebration of life that is going to be planned for him this summer. We'll certainly share those details when we have them. But those of you who remember him as I do, he was the president when I joined Rotary all the way back in 2000, 2001. He always had a kind word and a smile to share with all. He will certainly be very missed. We'll again share any information on Celebration of Life with you when we get that information. If you would just join me in a moment of silence. I know you're all on mute with this technology, but perhaps bow your head if you would like to, just to remember Bill. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to move on with some announcements and a little bit happier news. Your Rotary Board of Directors has nominated 3 new candidates to join the board for the next term, and I'm pleased to announce their names. They are Quinn Dallin, Jordan Matson, and Sonia Rodriguez-True. We will be voting on them next week. I don't expect to be receiving a great deal of objections to that fantastic slate of nominations. If you'd like to go ahead and add some applause, I see some of you doing so. Again, congratulations to those 3 candidates. Next on our list of things to talk about, we've already mentioned it a little bit if you joined into the meeting early, and you're going to be hearing David Lynx talk about the beautiful new building that not only houses the Larson Gallery, but also our new Rotary office. Carolyn has been so busy, and Lorna, over Christmas vacation break, New Year's Eve, packing boxes, moving everything from the 11th floor of the Larson building all the way down and into trucks and cars, and now is in the process of unpacking. And of course, with unpacking comes a little bit of challenge. The phone line is not quite yet transferred, but you can reach Carolyn, of course, by email. If you would like to snail mail, the PO box is the same. And of course, you can reach her on the cell. But we're so looking forward to having that beautiful new office space. It gives them some exceptional room to spread out. In that space also is the Yakima Rotary Trust Executive Director, which is Robin Beckett. So when things are available to be open again, please look forward to stopping by and checking it out. But in the meantime, there is a virtual tour planned for today of that beautiful building at 4 p.m. And you can access it on YouTube or the Yakima Valley College Facebook page, or also on their website. So check that out at 4 o'clock today. And then finally, another announcement, Southwest Rotary is hosting a blood drive that's coming up on January the 19th. We've posted details about it on our Facebook page, and they will also be in the tutor, so take a look at that. It's going to be from 12:30 to 5:30 p.m. And there are some details on how to register for that if you're able to join in on that blood drive. So next up is our Sergeant at Arms, which is Chris Hales. Chris?
Okay, there we go. Okay, so art, obviously, with our conversations around the Larson Gallery, it made sense to me to be doing something on art. So knowing, so it was obvious I needed to focus on art. So I Googled a definition, and there are about as many definitions of art as there are artists. A lot about using skills to mimic nature, works that express an idea, beauty, or emotion. Since beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I tuned into the emotional response to art. I've seen works that were not pleasing to look at, or songs that were not beautifully sung, yet they invoked an emotion. Sometimes positive, at times negative. To me, art is so deeply personal that there cannot be a definition. There is no way to put a definition in a box and neatly tie it up with a bow, though that bow could well be a work of art. Art, therefore, is whatever you view it to be. Or, as Pablo put it, art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. So moving into some art trivia, this is absolutely not my best subject. Maybe the rest of you have better knowledge. Me, I'll just send a check to Carolyn. So first off, Pablo Picasso's real name is actually how many words long? "23." I hope he didn't have to sign very many legal documents. So there's his real name, Pablo, 21 other words, Picasso. What artist sold a balloon dog for $58.4 million? His name is Jeff Koons. And this sum is the highest ever sold art by a living artist. And there it is, in case anyone was interested. I think it's very cool. I'm not sure if it's $58 million cool, but it's art. What is the Japanese art of flower arrangement called? Answer is ikebana. It's also known as kado or keiru. They were initially flower offerings for altars. And that looks very Japanese. So beautiful. So what was missing in Da Vinci's The Last Supper? The answer is Jesus's feet. The monastery residents cut a new door in the wall of the deteriorating Last Supper painting, which is why a big chunk of Jesus's feet was removed. I actually had the privilege of viewing the painting a few years ago. Not being Catholic or overly religious, I did not realize when I booked the tickets to view the painting that it was Good Friday. So it actually made it kind of super special for me. In the Louvre Museum, the Mona Lisa has its own what? Answer is mailbox. Mona Lisa receives love letters regularly, which is why out of all the arts in the museum, only Lisa has its own mailbox. And a bonus question for that one. Mona Lisa's Italian name is La Gioconda, which means Gioconda, or what does Gioconda mean? And pardon me if my Italian sucks. It means happy or jovial. And finally, true or false, Roman statues were made with detachable heads. The answer is true. They made it so that if the heads were damaged, they could be easily replaced. Wishing all my fellow Rotarians a very happy New Year.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate all of that wonderful information. I always learn something new when we have Sergeant at Arms. And if you learn something new, don't forget to send in some finds to Carolyn too. So we've got our speaker introduction up next with Kevin Good. Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, President Jennifer and fellow Rotarians. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, David Lynx. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with David, but for those of you who may not have had the opportunity to be introduced, I have just a few lines about his background, and perhaps this may be some trivia for some of you as well. But David's the current director of the Larson Gallery at Yakima Valley College, and he's been that for the last 8 years. And the Larson Gallery, of course, has a soft spot in my heart. And when I rejoined the community in 2015, that was the first board that I sat on. And I worked with David through the capital campaign in raising funds for the new gallery that you're here about. So very excited to learn about or to see this come to fruition. But prior to the Larson Gallery, served as 18 years as curator of education, and then the assistant director at the Yakima Valley Museum. He's taught in the art department at the Yakima Valley College for 24 years, and I think you'll know or see this as a theme, that the commitment that the college has to art and its partnership with the gallery is long and deep and very impressive. David has a master's in liberal arts, in museology, very interesting, from University of Oklahoma, and then a bachelor's from the University of Washington. He's now in his 8th year as a member of Rotary, and just joined this year as a member of the board. We're pleased to have him there. So I will leave it at that, and without further ado, David, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin, for the introduction. And thank you to President Jennifer and the Yakima Rotary Club for inviting me to talk with you today. I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint here. If I can click the right button. Okay. As you see, there's Carolyn's car parked out in front. Carolyn and John were in there this morning. So I'm so excited that today Yakima Valley College will be having a virtual opening for the West Campus. The West Campus involves the introduction of 3 new buildings, the Conference Center, Allied Health, and the Larson Gallery in the former shopping center that held a craft store, fabric store, and Asian restaurant. Yakima Valley Vintners will be part of the Larson Gallery building, and Yakima Rotary offices are in the convention center. I've got to make sure I can, there we go. As I stood in the new Larson Gallery yesterday, which is nearing completion, I felt a stillness and satisfaction of achievement, but also knowing that we are ready for the next step. It has been an honor for me to be able to work with Dr. Kaminsky and Dr. Rich at Yakima Valley College toward creating a new home for the Larson Gallery. As I stood, what the new Larson Gallery will encompass is a facility and an organization that follows standards of excellence that have been established by the museum community. As a member of this community, I helped create these standards, but also have learned from the diverse museum field around the nation and the world. When I look back at my involvement in the museum community, I learned right away how personable and respectful they are and how they are enthusiastic about helping each other. I hope that I have also continued this tradition. I first became involved in the museum field while I was at the director of the Sheehan Gallery at Whitman College. I think about my first phone calls to other gallery directors about how to transport art and how willing they were to help me. Within a year, they were calling me, asking me for advice. With my initial attendance at state, regional, and national conferences, I participated in the ongoing exchange of ideas. These ideas were how to achieve excellence in the areas of museum, education, exhibition, organization, facilities, and diversity. It was interesting that I found early on that the museum field not only encompasses what we think of as a museum, but also includes galleries, arboretums, zoos, and aquariums. Any organization that has a collection and regularly exhibits it to the public. The only difference between a museum and a zoo is that your collection is live versus not live. So most of my understanding about how the museum worked was on the job. Fortunately, I was able to learn a lot of it while working at the Yakima Valley Museum. So while working at the museum, we went through the accreditation process of the American Alliance of Museums. This is the recognized museum organization for the nation. This process took several years and looked at how we handled our collections, education, exhibitions, and how we are cognizant of our community. I remember that I think it was actually a 5-year process. John Ball bringing up a bottle of champagne to share with the staff when we finally received our recognition as an accredited institution. While working at the Yakima Valley Museum, I was fortunate enough to have participated as a grant reviewer for the IMLS. This is the Institute of Museum and Library Services, a federal agency that provides grants to libraries and museums. As a reviewer, I was able to review grants from other museums around the country and see how they constructed their appeal for funds. What is interesting is on several trips to Washington, DC, I worked in the old post office, which has now become a Trump International Hotel. But as an aspect of this experience to going to Washington, DC for 3 years, I learned a lot about what museums, how they operated and what was expected of them. So after arriving here in Yakima in 1994, when I was 5 years old, I not only helped out at the museum, but I also volunteered at the Larson Gallery. Over the years, I was able to learn a lot from director Carol Hassan and work with her on several projects. Unfortunately, Carol passed away this week, which reminded me how fortunate I was to be able to work with her, both as a volunteer and on the board of the Larson Gallery. When I came to work at the Larson Gallery 8 years ago, I continued to implement both what Carol and Cheryl Hahn had set for the Larson Gallery, but I also began to realize that the Larson Gallery needed to also go through an examination of processes such as we had done with the Yakima Valley Museum. When I first arrived, one of the visions of both the Larson Gallery Guild and of the administration of the college was to have a new building at some point for the Larson Gallery. The Larson Gallery was built in 1949, one of 3 original buildings on the Yakima Valley College campus. And so these are identified as 5, 6, and 8 on the map. One of these is Prior Hall, and I think the other one is facilities building. So in 1940, Rose Larson presented the Yakima Valley College with $113,000 for their building fund. Originally, $100,000 of that was bequeathed by her husband, A.E. Larson, to the city of Yakima for the maintenance of their home as a museum. The city rejected the bequest and the funds, now with a $13,000 interest, which were given to the college with a stipulation that at least one room be devoted to the purpose of a museum to be named the Larson Museum. The new junior college building would be built on the site gifted to the college in 1937 by Rose Larson and her son, Shirley Parker. You'll see Shirley Parker in this photograph handing the deed over to the college. World War II had interrupted the building. Then in 1949, both Prior Hall and the Larson Gallery were constructed. The interesting result of this was that the original Larson building was one large room. Over the years, it was sectioned off for offices, a bathroom, and a storage. This summer, I was able to meet the second student assistant that served there in the 50s. And he said he remembered sitting there and it just being one large room with some glass cases down the middle, that all these things that are there now were added a little bit later on. Now, 70 years later, it has been important to look at the space and to see how it fulfilled not only the standards for museum collections and exhibition, but how it answered the needs of the community who visited and supported the gallery. Many members and visitors told us about the challenges of parking to access the Larson Gallery. Parking is currently located in the YVC visitor parking lot, some distance from the gallery. Although parking passes can be sent by email, often passes are picked up at the gallery. The visitor then must return to their car a distance away to place their pass in the window before returning to the gallery. New visitors find parking a challenge to access, or their process of finding a space is unclear. The new gallery, which is now situated at the West Campus lot, has easy access to parking and to the gallery. Parking next to the building will accommodate an increasing number of visitors, we hope, to the Larson Gallery. Plus, the new location will give Larson Gallery a more visible presence on the campus and for the community. The loading area for the current gallery is currently located through a gate off Nob Hill Boulevard, a very busy street. Access to the rear of the gallery is between the gallery and Kendall Hall, which is accessible only by car or passenger van. Now, large loading doors and access to the rear of the new gallery will allow trucks the capability for delivery of better and larger exhibits. Driveway access will be from 16th Avenue, the same access that will be available to the new conference center. In years past, the college designated areas for school buses to park. With changes on the campus, these parking areas were no longer available. School buses dropped off students nearby, but the buses must wait off-site. Now school buses will be able to enter off 16th Avenue and drop off students at the front of the gallery. Students visiting the gallery will have access, easy and safe access to and from buses. One thing that we've always been able to do and will continue to do is have free admission to the gallery, and it's free admission for public schools to come also. This is actually the footprint of the new gallery. The current exhibit area we have right now is about 150 linear feet which is expandable to 180 linear feet with movable walls. The current movable walls are large and heavy, requiring 5 people to move them, making it difficult to arrange for help. The gallery space limits the number of pieces shown and the number of concurrent exhibits. This new exhibition space will increase in size by 115 linear feet and provide the capability for more than one exhibit at a time. A new systems of lightweight movable walls will be added to the exhibition capacity and provide for easier exhibit installation. As you can see on the map, there's an exhibit space A and exhibit space B. So we'll able to have one very large exhibit or two large exhibits. It's a very large space, actually. What I'm planning right now, as soon as we can get open, is exhibit space A. We'll have Victor Ospina, who is from Colombia. He's with Rotaract down there, and you probably know him because we've delivered pencils and things down to there recently. So Victor's work will be in exhibition space A, and an exhibit of former directors of the Larson Gallery will be in space B. So we are starting right off with 2 exhibits at once. So the current exhibition area of the gallery, of our current gallery, is constructed with glass block, which allows for sunlight to enter the gallery at different levels throughout the day, making it difficult to maintain light levels. Natural light also promotes possible damage of the artwork due to the exposure of the sun. When I was at the Yakima Valley Museum, that's one of the things we did with the remodel, was to remove the windows, which are in the very top of the main exhibit gallery, mainly because of the light coming in and its danger to the objects. So with the installation of LED lights in the old gallery, the interference of sunlight has made this even more of a challenge, as LED color balancing is washed out by the sun. Most traveling exhibits abide by a standard set by the American Alliance of Museums for light, humidity, security, and temperature controls. These standards make it difficult to borrow artworks from other museum and educational institutions and to qualify for better traveling exhibits. The American Alliance of Museums set the national standards and best practices for the US museums. These standards set guidelines for careful and responsible management of artwork that is entrusted to the museum's care, including physical storage, management, and care. So climate control, lighting, and collection management are crucial elements. By meeting these standards, the new gallery will be able to expand the number and quality of exhibitions offered. Future exhibits will include artworks from other museums, college, and international exhibits, expanding the educational experience for students and the local community. As you can see here, my assistant Cecilia standing in that exhibition space B, which is the larger area. This is beautiful, and it's absolutely huge. So you can see, compared to where Cecilia, of course, this is a panoramic view, but you can see where she's standing. This is that one big main gallery. It's pretty amazing space. I was actually with Dr. Rich yesterday standing. We both were just saying how amazing it was. So this exhibition area is actually accessed through a hallway from the front door, which will eliminate natural light and create the ability for all light to be measured and controlled. The control of light and humidity have become crucial components as more traveling exhibits and delicate objects are put on display. During the past year, as we faced the disadvantage of the pandemic, the Larson Gallery Guild received a grant to begin the process of American Alliance of Museums accreditation, and with the new gallery, we will seek final certification. Other challenges in the current gallery is that there's not adequate and dedicated workroom space used for preparing works for exhibition. Labels, framing, and other preparatory work is completed on office tables. So storage for incoming and outgoing exhibits is not currently available. So many pieces must be stored wherever room is available. There's also limited space for exhibit hardware like pedestals. So you can see on the right, that's our current storage space, and on the left, our new storage space that's been built. The new gallery built will contain a dedicated workshop and art storage space for incoming and outgoing exhibits and exhibit preparation. A new storage room near the reception area will also be easily accessible for artwork that is dropped off or picked up. With the majority of the changing exhibit materials moving to the new location, the current Larson Gallery building will house the permanent collection and be available for year-round workshops. So the current reception area, if we call that in our current gallery, has a desk for the reception, a work study student, and our gift shop, which is those two cabinets, glass cabinets. The design of this reception area also created a conflict visually as it was part of the exhibition space. So I had calls from artists who said my piece was on exhibit there, and I thought, no, it's not. And then they said, well, it was in the gift shop, thinking that the gift shop was part of the exhibit area. And so I was like, oh, you're actually in the gift shop, which is technically its own area. So I realized right away when you're standing in there looking at exhibit that current gift shop becomes part of the exhibit. So it kind of conflicts with it visually. So this new dedicated reception area will include a larger gift shop. The new gift shop area will have the capacity for more small artworks by local artists, souvenirs and books, and will be accessible by both gallery patrons and the tasting room. There's a glass door, as you can see in the drawing on the right, which leads into the tasting area. The gift shop and reception area are visually separated from the exhibition area, which is the main goal, and will allow for grand entry into the gallery. So when you come into the main space, enter into the Larson Gallery, you'll enter the gift shop, which has a beautifully high, tall ceiling and lots of daylight coming in. So it's a really grand entry when you come into the space. So right now, the current Larson Gallery was a restroom that was built later, and it's located in the office, and it was not generally intended for public use. The bathroom is available for one person only and contains a utility sink for paint cleanup. The new facility will have 2 public bathrooms. The bathrooms will also be distanced away from the more public spaces such as the exhibition area and the tasting room. So our current kitchen right now contains this little sink and a microwave. So I'll show you the new one, boom. So you can see there, they're still in process over there, but that's our new kitchen, which have a lot of a dishwasher and sinks and everything there. So it's pretty nice. So this new catering kitchen will be usable by caterers and will include wash sinks, dishwasher, refrigerator, hand washing station, and a warming oven. So between the Larson Gallery and the new Allied Health building adjacent to the gallery will be a sculpture garden. The sculpture garden will be accessible from the gallery and have seating outside. It also will be accessible from the tasting room. We hope that this new space will have room for live music and a reception space for Larson Gallery events tied with the Yakima Vintners tasting room. So this is how the place looks right now, which is pretty amazing. Oops. So in this move to West Campus, Yakima Valley College is demonstrating its original 1949 commitment to the Larson family by not only providing at least one room devoted to the purpose of a museum, but also demonstrating the importance of a contemporary exhibit experience for the students and the community. We are also pleased to be partnering with Yakima Valley College Vineyard and Winery Technology Program. As we found out over the years, wine and art do go together. I did want my office right next to the vintners with a little sliding door so I could get pass through wine, but the college wouldn't let me do that. So it's fun to see if Brad was over there doing some work. He's Brad Smith's from the tasting room in Grandview, and he was over there working yesterday. So all this would not be possible without the support of the Larson Gallery Guild and its 350 members that support the operations of the Larson Gallery. The Larson Gallery Guild was able to raise the funds to build their portion of the gallery, and so I'm very grateful to them. So I invite you all to view the virtual opening of the West Campus at Yakima Valley College today at 4 p.m. on the college website. And you'll also see, you can see the Rotary offices right there. You'll also be able to see a glance of the Rotary offices. So if you have any, thank you so much for allowing me to talk with you today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
The question I had, and maybe this means I like wine too much, but are you going to be able to like grab a glass of wine at the vintners and then wander through the art exhibit, or is there no wine in the art exhibit?
So we've actually been discussing this lately, and I was over there yesterday because the wine program currently has a license for Grandview. They've applied for a license for here, and I was in the process yesterday of relocating our license. What we've tried to, the vintners are going to be meeting with the Liquor Control Board to try to see what we can do to do that very same thing. Could we, can we walk from one space to another? At this point, no, but I'm sure there's a way we can work it out. And one thing we talked about was maybe having their license extend to our space. And so that they would handle the wine, which is fine because their wine's amazing. So for our events and things. So we're working on that at this point. We're hoping to get around that. And it may be kind of, they were talking about, there's all kinds of policies for liquor control for all kinds of events and things. So there must be a way for us to be able to do that. Because that would be the best thing, is to grab a glass of wine and walk through and look at the artwork. Yeah. Any other questions, Matt?
So David, David, during COVID and all of that, if you're wearing a mask and you're exhaling and it fogs up your glasses, is that going to affect how you're able to view the art?
Yes, it will definitely affect it. Well, you could have this misty-eyed view. Yes, that's really good, Bill. Yeah, it's interesting because we've been, the governor just changed what's phase 1 and phase 2. And so I'm hoping that as soon as we can start having visits by appointment. And so I'm looking at that way the governor is and the way the college has been very good about following everything the governor's put forth. So we'll look at that too. But yeah, you do need to wear something so you don't fog up your glasses. Otherwise, you could be, you look through everything through a mist, which is okay too.
I have neat masks that have a little place for a straw to go.
There you go. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, I don't know if you've watched The Mandalorian, but I was like thinking he gets invited to sit down to eat and he's always got this mask over everything. I'm trying to think, how does he eat with that? They don't ever show him eating, but he must have to stick a straw up.
Hey, David, I have a question. With your collection that you have in place now, with your ability with the new place, will you be adding more to your collection?
Yes. And actually currently we have 600 pieces, or actually more like 660, I think now. And half of them are on campus. And one of the things we've talked about too is in the other buildings, the conference center is having our collection in there too, in the hallways. So that will come as we go along, but we're always increasing that collection. We'll have now more space over in the old building to store it. So yes, definitely we'll be adding to the collection. So any other questions? It's always interesting. I teach on Zoom too, and it's always like all the students are on mute. Quinn's probably had this problem too, that you're that everyone's so quiet because everybody's on mute.
David, if I can ask questions, it's Charlie. Are you working at all with the Arts Commission, the State Arts Commission and its collection? Does the college have any of the artworks from the commission as well? How do you work together since they have such an amazing array of works as well?
Yeah, we do have for the state collection. There are pieces on campus that belong that are part of the Washington State Art Collection. And actually that's all handled through the Vice President's office. And so that has it's come up a few times over as I've been here, because people will find a piece of artwork and think it's part of the gallery collection, but it's actually part of the Washington State. So there are pieces on campus that are part of the Washington State collection. Yes.
David,
Yeah.
the old space on campus, you're just going to use that for storage, or is it going to be converted to classrooms for the college?
Well, one thing we're going to do is we've always held summer workshops in here, and now that we have this available and not having to worry about having exhibits, we can have workshops all year round. And so I'm hoping that that's the plan to do that. We also have been talking about a few other events in here. One of them is we've been talking quite a few times about is that a lot of artists kind of go on to a new, they start to create new work and they want to get rid of their old work. And so kind of having like a, artist benefit sale to help clear out their old stuff in here. So it's kind of, the old space will have multi-uses at this point: storage, workshops, and events.
Thank you.
When our children were growing up at Franklin Junior High, there were summer creative experiences for children. It seems to me that this might be a real benefit. We paid a minimal amount of money for the children to do that, and they had a half-day experience of using different varieties of art construction. I really think that would be great.
One of my board members who's in charge of that also is bilingual, is really looking at having some bilingual activities for children in the old space. So that's we'd love to do that.
I have a 6-year-old that I will sign up, David, as soon as you get it started. So just let me know.
Good. That's great. Yeah, we're happy.
If I could just add that, the art gallery, of course, is a community asset, but it's also a college asset. It's a place where pre-pandemic, faculty would take their classes, they would construct assignments around different exhibitions. So, not only do we make it available to the K-12 schools, but it's also available to us at the college and is an integral part of the learning assignments and the opportunities that students have. And there's hardly a room, an office or a room at the college that doesn't have a piece of art on loan from the gallery. And so it's, it enriches the college in many different ways. And we're so happy with David. Of course, he's such a gem. We've always had gems as gallery directors, but David is particularly wonderful to work with and very helpful to us whenever we have a question about art. He's the go-to person. So I want to thank you, David, for that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kay. Then I'll tag on that too, is that one of the things that I've tried to do is to have exhibits not only for the art department, but every discipline on campus. So a few years ago, we had an exhibit that was aimed at the math department, and the math department got really involved in that. So I'm hoping to continue that we provide an exhibition space for all disciplines on campus.
Well, thank you, David, for speaking to us today. It really is exciting to hear of the growth in what you're doing, and I can't wait till we do get to do exactly what Quinn suggested, which is carry a glass of wine through that exhibit. We're all looking forward to having a chance to see it in person. But again, as a way of reminder, today at 4, we'll get a chance to check it out even further. So thanks for the insight, even before it's released to the public. And I do want to just let you know that in honor of you speaking today, we will be making a donation in your name to Yakima Rotary Charities. So again, thank you so much for your time. So next, to bring us down the home stretch, we've got Connie Phelan with our Rotarians Are Going Places. Connie.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Yes, we have Rotarians Going Places, and the first of the new year is our wonderful Rotarian, Nancy Leahy. Nancy has been named Development Director for Grand Columbia Council of Boy Scouts of America. And so I had the opportunity to take a really great picture of Nancy this week to share with all of you. And as you know, she is the ultimate incredible superwoman in regards to fundraising. And she is the person that can help the Boy Scouts of America in the local area be very successful. She's got amazing ideas. Has an incredible amount of energy, and she is a huge asset to our Yakima community and all of her works. As she has, as you probably know, that she was executive director of the Yakima Valley Hearing and Speech Center. And then as of prior to this position, she was director of Astrea Sunnyside Foundation. And so kudos to Nancy for all of her great work. And we are honored to have you as a Rotarian Going Places. Now thank you, Nancy. Our next person to congratulate and honor is our very own Sonia Rodriguez True, who is become the first Latino to serve as our Yakima County Superior Court Commissioner. Oh my goodness. Sonia is so humble. She is a dynamite and has worked so hard all her life. And now she's being rewarded as being our Yakima County Superior Court Commissioner. And that's probably not the last place she's going to be, because we'll probably see her in lights again in the future, I would think, because she came up from farm workers that were in California, orange farmers, and was raised by a single mom. And they have worked so hard. And Sonia's mother always said education is the great equalizer. And Sonia and her mother both have worked very hard when they moved up to Washington State to start a life. And actually, I thought this was great. Sonia was enrolled in a private girls' school, Annie Wright Schools in Tacoma, and while her mom began working as a secretary downtown Seattle law firm. And this was pivotal to Sonia and her mom, and they both got incredible educations. However, Sonia, being the strong-willed woman she is, she thought she could do really good work in our Yakima area and started her own law firm 20 years ago, and made that very successful and continued to work. She has been on community boards. She is a fantastic Rotarian Going Places, and we are so thrilled to have this honor to present to all of you as our new commissioner in the Superior Court. So thank you, Sonia. She's so humble. Please, everybody, congratulate her and Nancy, and we will start this new year off with a bang. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. It's always fun to celebrate our fellow Rotarians Going Places. I love ending the meeting on such a high note, so thank you for that. As we look to our upcoming programs next week, we've got Carol Pete with the newly rebranded Yakima Valley Memorial. It'll be a really interesting conversation to hear what's happening, so please be sure to join us next week. Following that, another Rotarian going places, our own Rob Phillips is going to talk about his new book, The Cascade Killer. If you haven't read it yet, be sure to pick up your copy at Inklings in preparation. And then following that, we have a special guest all the way from Anaheim, California. It's our Rotary International Vice President, Jorita Solari, who has also served on the Rotary International Board of Directors. That's going to be a really great opportunity to hear about what's happening with Rotary International on a far more global level. So set that calendar appointment for Rotary each week. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, we are adjourned.